Hello. On Christmas Eve, when you hear a bump in the night, you might just think it's your favourite present wizard going about his annual altruistic activities. But if you know Games Workshop, then you might be a little bit more worried about which Santa comes down your chimney. Some of them have sharper claws than others. I'm Jordan, this is Jordan Sorcery, and today we're jingling our way through the history of Citadel Santas from Games Workshop. In the Warhammer world that was, the free peoples of the old world would celebrate Monstil, the winter festival. They'd throw tar logs onto the hearth, bedeck their halls with evergreen flora, and give simple gifts to close friends. Even though mysteries abound during the season, like in Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay's The Spirit of Monstil, the greatest of all is who is Father Christmas in the Warhammer world. Over the years, Games Workshop have released a wonderfully diverse range of Citadel Santa miniatures. Spacemen, dwarves, elder gods, oh my! And of course, goblins. Originating on the blasted world of Gorkamorka, the Red Gobbo was a revolutionary figure, standing up for the rights of his fellow Gretchen. In 1998, he emerged as the leader of the Gretchen Revolutionary Committee. He fought against the shackles of his orc oppressors. In 2019, he reappeared, taking on a more decorous aspect. The Red Gobbo still carried his trusty blaster, but now he held aloft not just the rights of grots, but also a sprig of festive fern. This year, he makes a triumphant return, bounding in on his toothy bauble of a mount, Bouncer. He's more joyous than ever, but I'm not sure I would want to risk opening any present he left under my tree. But where did it all begin for Games Workshop and Father Christmas? Well, as far as I can tell, it was in 1981. Games Workshop Mail Order released an exclusive Father Christmas miniature sculpted by the Perry twins, Alan and Michael Perry. As you can see in this amazing piece from the unparalleled collection of Billy Bunter, seriously, go check it out, it's incredible. There's a link in the description. This wondrous miniature is the epitome of classic Christmas, with a Gandalfian Santa in all his Istarian glory. 4 years later, in the winter of 1985, Games Workshop opened a new store in Chester, and the story goes that they offered up a free Dwarf Santa miniature to everybody who came in that day. This sculpt was by Ali Morrison, and gives us a jolly Dwarven Santa that clearly loves his job. He even spreads good cheer. The miniatures tab reads Merry Xmas. The Chester store was actually the first Games Workshop I ever set foot in. It was a grotto full of weirdly appealing goblins, trolls and ratmen. I desperately wanted to be one of them. And look, I succeeded. Thank you, Father Citadel. But things were about to get a little less familiar. Sometime between the same year and 1986, a new Santa would teleport into our lives. Space Santa. His space gun even has a Christmas cracker barrel and mistletoe on the top. Sculpted by Bob Naismith and painted here by Chris at his Ninja Bread blog, this Santa was released as part of the LE, or limited edition range of Citadel miniatures, and would be joined in time by some other unusual Christmas characters. In 1986, Naismith would sculpt again. This time, his limited edition Father Christmas would have an altogether more unknowable visage. This is Sanity Claus, presumably released to celebrate the Games Workshop edition of Call of Cthulhu the same year. This dangerously gribbly Santa even graced the cover of White Dwarf 84, with amazing art by Ian Miller. Such a wonderfully eldritch festive Zoidberg of a Santa. But that's not all. In 1987, Bob Naismith struck again, as White Dwarf advertised the special edition release of two rather cheery Christmas Marines. Though, from the angle these guys are leaning, I wonder if maybe they had a few too many Fenrisian ales that Christmas. Here's a couple painted up as festive Crimson Fists by Chris, again from the Ninja Bread blog. As a tie-in to the recently released Mad Max-style car combat game Dark Future, Games Workshop released a grotty Future Santa in 1988. I'm not sure who sculpted this great little Santa miniature, but it really makes me think they were channeling Dan Aykroyd's down on his luck character from Trading Places. At some point, another Perry Twin Santa was to be released, the Chaos Santa. I love this guy, bulging out of his Santa suit and carrying who knows what terrors instead of presents in that sack. In 2017, to celebrate 40 years of White Dwarf magazine, a new commemorative miniature was released of the White Dwarf himself, Grombrindal. Now, I know this is not a Santa, but with all those presents and that magnificent white beard, I think this is close enough. Though, given we've gone a little off the beaten track with our Santas, it would be remiss of me not to at least mention the reindeer of Games Workshop. Wood Elf Wild Riders rode mighty stag mounts, and they can look very good with bright red noses. And with that, our tour of Citadel Santas comes to a close this year. Though, if you ever wanted to see what Space Marines fighting killer snowmen would look like, then the GW artist Igor Sid has got you covered. This is the Christmas War. So when you hear that tingle of sleigh bells and those footsteps on the outer hull of your Gothic battlecruiser, you might want to leave out some cluster mines alongside that plate of mince pies, just in case it's Sanity Claus paying you a visit. I hope you've enjoyed this festive visitation. If so, please feel free to leave a like, comment and subscribe. I am Jordan, this is Jordan Sorcery, and I'm wishing you a very merry Monstill. Please, Father Citadel, I'm just a poor boy from a poor family. Grant me this wish of a monstrosity. A Skaven Santa miniature.